Hello and welcome to yet another edition of News 18 presents Yuva Bharat in association with IIMUN, IIMUN president, a student body which has been engaging more than 10 lakh students into its 10th year now. Rishabh Shah, its president, is with us. And the issue today is something that concerns the current generation and, of course, the generations to come in terms of how will they trade, how will they purchase, how will they buy, and the dynamics of digital currency. So everybody was skeptical in history when barter made way for coins, and gold made way for silver, silver made way for bronze, and bronze made way for coins which were nickels. So, but there was value associated, and then suddenly came paper. So at all points in time, there have been dimensions that money has changed forms, but there has always been a value attached to it. It has always been pegged against something. Today, cryptocurrency is a new domain. A lot of people are skeptical. A lot of people have security issues. We'll talk about the security issues, the challenges, and whether or not we need to regulate it. Perhaps there is a common sense which comes around which says yes, but should we regulate it, and how can we regulate it is also another issue, and why should we regulate it is also another aspect. So we'll talk about all of that and also get the students to ask questions of a security expert, a cyber security expert who's also been very closely involved in policy making and also making suggestions to the government in terms of way forward. And Dr. Professor Nishakant Ojha, eminent expert, cyber and counterterrorism, West Asia and Middle East, is joining us here on this broadcast. Nishakant, always a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
We have students in Neil Tharun Vadudkar, a grade 12 student, David Memorial Education Institution, Hyderabad, Telangana. Yashvi Patel is a third-year degree college, NMIMS, Mumbai, Maharashtra. And Samyukt Gopalakrishna is a grade 11 student, Lalji Memorial Omega International School, Chennai, Tamil Nadu. But I'm going to roll the dice towards Rishabh and let him take it forward because you've not gotten crypto, have you?
No, you let the secret out, because no, I've not gotten crypto yet. But I think a lot of people have been telling me this, Anand, and that cryptocurrency will do to financial markets what T20 did to Test match cricket. That it is the future of transactions. It is the future of it's the new digital currency, basically. But I personally have not invested, not believed so much in cryptocurrency, because I always feel that there is some amount of threat that it poses, both in terms of security, both to our nation and individually also. Plus, it doesn't help that I'm one of those young people who's not that tech savvy. But let me take this to Dr. Nishakant and asking this question: that is it safe for young people to invest in cryptocurrencies? Because we see all these advertisements with the IPL, the World T20 and all these cricket tournaments, and even otherwise, everywhere on social media, you see invest in cryptocurrencies. But is investment in cryptocurrency something that is considered safe for young people?
Thank you, Rishabh, for the opportunity. And I would like to clarify some of the things which basically is going around this particular thing about the Bitcoins and the blockchains and the cryptocurrency and all this. What we call as a cryptocurrency is basically works on peer-to-peer blockchain, which is an encrypted system of record for all transactions that is basically distributed across the internet, free from the human intervention. The dark web acts always a gateway for high-risk individuals and to obtain deadly weapons, which could immediately compromise the national security. As of if we have gathered, because this blockchain, this Bitcoin, this cryptocurrency, all this, if you remember, it has all been happening from the last 10 years. It's not new for us. But if you see the previous record from that time till as of now, we have gathered and we have shown to the security agencies that 90% of the cryptocurrencies or the crypto coins or the cryptocurrency, Bitcoins and or the Ethereum, Litecoins, Ethereum, and other things, they are used basically for financing the terror fundings. If you like to put me, I will put it in a simple form that it's a kind of e-hawala or smart hawala. That's all, nothing more than that. It's not like that without the virtual currency or without the cryptocurrency, the economy will not run. But what's the reason for that? Because getting the cryptocurrency is just a 15 minutes exercise. You have to follow some of the steps like create a consensus mechanism. You can use kind of blockchain platforms, Ethereum, IBM blockchain, Hydra chain, blockchain platform, design the nodes, establish the blockchain internal architecture, integrate some of the APIs, design the interface, make your current cryptocurrency and start using. If you see in India, if you go to the Maipalpur area, we have gathered the information. There is a kind of data mining's, you can say, valley, which is there. If you go, it's somewhere around, I have seen with my naked eyes, there are around 50, 60 people who are sitting and doing the data minings and the cryptocurrency mining, Bitcoin minings and everything. Means who is basically operating, who is creating the demand and supply? It's basically you and me who are there. So we are basically the driving force. We are basically the manipulators. We run that particular parallel economy according to our vested interests. So I don't think that it's a kind of thing which will just move us to a different level and our economy will get boosted up or it will make the things more smoother. It's not possible.
But Nishakant ji, that's what I'm saying. So if you're saying it is e-hawala, तो हवाला तो पहले भी होता था. Earlier, gold was used. So did people stop buying gold? Did people stop trying? No, Pakistan was printing FICN. It's being printed in Calcutta also. Bangladesh also, there is an FICN network. In Nepal, there is. So there are different, always those who want to do illegal activity will use whatever methods are available. But does that mean that we are not buying or transacting in gold? Does that mean that we have done away with paper money? Does that mean that
I totally agree with you what you are trying to say, but the only thing is that, see, we already are badly impacted. We are not able to come up with that particular problem which you are likely describing as of now. And since after that, you are making your problem more complicated, because there we know if we catch hold, there is a human intervention involved in there. We can catch hold. Someday we will catch hold of that. But here the IPs get disappeared within fractions of seconds. You cannot decode, you cannot find out the IPs where it is there. And it's everywhere. You can create a mini exchange at your home and you can start a cryptocurrency. You fulfill the agenda, complete the transaction, and you're disappear, you're dissolved, everything is gone.
Let's ask the youngsters and ask them what they think, because they are the ones who know so much more about this space and also understand that I was very shocked. I woke up to Bitcoin, and I'm going to start with Samyuk. I woke up to Bitcoin. I woke up to cryptocurrency just about last year or sometime, when somebody was talking me through it, because I didn't get into this dynamic. And then when I started mining the information and reading and trying to get under, there were so many people who were already on board. This number, more than 8 million Indians are already transacting, and the volumes are about 6.6 billion. So aap socho kahan pe kya hai? There are people who I never thought would be involved in Bitcoin. They are already on Bitcoin platforms for the last 5 years, 6 years. 50 मैंने 50,000 रुपए लगाए थे, उसके 2.5 लाख रुपए हो गए. अगर मैंने बेच दिया, आज अगर मैंने नहीं बेचा होता तो 6 लाख रुपए मिलते. And then 5 days later he turns around and says, अच्छा हुआ सर बेच दिया, अब तो 40,000 हो गया है. I said, it's so volatile. Why are you doing it? Sir, क्या करें सर, पैसा बन रहा है. We are making money. So why shouldn't I get into something which is high risk, high return? But Samyuk, where do you stand?
Thank you, sir. Sir, I actually believe that there are some cryptocurrency. It is not actually right to just group all of them as one, because in one hand we have cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and these are extremely volatile. But on the other hand, we have cryptocurrencies which are considered as stable coins, and they go up and down very slowly, or they are backed by physical assets, and some of them were issued by governments. Like, for example, Petro, which is a cryptocurrency issued by the Venezuelan government, is backed by their petroleum reserves. But apart from that, I would like to move on to a question I have for Dr. Nishakant, that is regarding the bill. So a cryptocurrency bill has been in the making for a very long time. And the government officials for the first time had a formal meeting with the Blockchain and Crypto Assets Council on this Saturday, which comprises of the top exchanges like Kubera and a lot of the others. But Yeah, in the likely case that the government passes this bill during the parliament's winter session this year, what regulations would you expect to see in the bill regarding cryptocurrency for general use of the public?
Samit, what I don't know what the government will take the decision. Eventually, as of the security agencies and other respective stakeholders who are basically concerned with the national security of the country, we are not in the opinion of getting it implemented as of now in India. What you are talking about the Venezuela, when you are talking about El Salvador, where you are talking about the N numbers of the countries, if you see there, these countries had always been instrumental in doing the providing or facilitating the money laundering and kind of activities which is there. We are, again, I'm telling you, I want to put it in inverted commas, we are not against the cryptocurrency. It sometimes facilitate because ITs and these things basically reduces the latency and the transaction times also. But we don't have that particular robust system where we can monitor. If suppose government of India also issues or he gives the permission to launch a cryptocurrency, how they will be able to use, that's a big question. Because for that you need to have a dedicated change, you need to have a public IP, you need to have a designated stakeholders who will be using it. Otherwise, if it is in the gray area, if it is in the vacuum, if it is on the internet, any Tom and Jerry can come and do the data mining and can take the money and go away. So that system is not available with us. As of now, if somebody asks me, I'm not in the opinion, and I would always request the government, please, as of now, because we are struggling towards the cyber security mechanism. Our transaction in the credit cards are not safe. How you can ensure that these bitcoins will be safe? पेटीएम पे करता हूं तो पैसा चला बोलते 72 hours के बाद आएगा, you know, and there is, I will next time when we will discuss, I have got the entire encyclopedia where I can demonstrate that this can be easily hacked in comparison to other things. You can get into that, take the money and go away. So it's only the none of the technologies ever rule out or anything. But our government, our system, which is there within the Indian soil, we are not in position to at least safeguard this kind of cryptocurrency activities.
Neil.
Thank you, sir. Asking question to Nishkant, sir. Sir, as per my belief, cryptocurrency uses SHA-356 cryptography, which is hashing algorithm. So it is believed to be one of the most secured algorithm in the world. So my concern over is when you are using UPI wallets or any other modern day currency which we use in digital way. So are they more secure because there are a lot of third party services serving the transaction? There is bank, there is UPI, there is in case PhonePe or for Paytm in this case. So are they a lot safer than cryptocurrency when it comes to digital currencies? And I want to stand on the SHA-356 algorithm, which is one of the safest algorithms in the world.
Neil, what you are trying to say, it's perfectly, because see, if you know the end point and the terminating point, at least you know both the nodes, you are secure. But when we are working where you don't know the originator, you don't know the descender, you don't know the terminator, who is there, you are not sure. UPI का क्योंकि हम लोग ने इसीलिए इसको, what we have done is that we have created a kind of, it's a through the exchange of the RBI, everything authenticated, your KIC is indicated, your all the details are there. So it's 100% secure because there are the gateways where we are filtering and we are monitoring each and every credentials of yours. But when we are talking about the crypto is something, it's virtual na. Hai nahi hai kuch. It's nowhere. You cannot touch. You can only feel. That's a cryptocurrency. Algorithms, when you're talking about, see, algorithm I can also design. And algorithm keeps on changing. It's not a matter of the algorithm. Algorithms is basically created for a certain kind of a mining exercise, which is there. But algorithm doesn't give you the 100% security.
Process. Yashvi, where are you?
So I am
this.
so as we are going into this technology driven world, we should really adapt to the changes which is getting cryptocurrency into the market. But I think at the other point that there are some limitations to that, obviously. Like the first major one being that there is no regulatory body which governs everything. So it is basically a decentralized form. And secondly, I feel that with the coming generation is being more tech savvier. So there are increasing number of threats and frauds that can happen since now everyone is so adapted to technology and it's so easy and people can find out various ways to do it even by Googling. So I think there are little reforms which can be brought into system to make it a little more secure way of investment. And apart from it, I just wanted to ask one question that before this, there is this feature in the Bitcoin or as you say, the cryptocurrency about setting the key. So if wherein you have to set a key and in case you forget the particular key or the password, as you commonly say, then there is no option of resetting it or you can't open the account once you forget the key. So basically that money stays idle in the account. So what do you think? How would the audience, how would the investors, in fact, react if there came in a feature wherein you are allowed to reset the key, and would that increase the number of frauds that are taking place?
Again, the problem is again the same which I am trying to tell repeatedly. See, everything is there, but the only thing is that the regulation can be only come in place when the person who is issuing the Bitcoins, his credentials are vouched and you have all the credentials. If Yashvi is ready to give me all the credentials, say, sir, if something happens, I am the person who is in position you can catch off, then it's okay. And you have to, there are certain parameters that you will be, and every transaction, every demand and supply, everything has to be verified with the government of India through the RBI. And RBI is himself clueless. He doesn't have such kind of a mechanism. That's why it was thrown away. And eventually, if you see, it's not the matter the youngsters are using. I have never seen the youngster more. The Bitcoins I have seen, the matured persons are having more frequently using these things rather than the youngsters. Youngsters are basically the hackers and everything because they know that it's secured. If they hack your device, they will ask you, why mere ko 5 Bitcoins transfer kar de? They don't need cash because they know that if you transfer the money, no traces are there, no ashes are there. So it's not, unless when we talk about the regulation, there should be a kind of a Bitcoin exchanges which should be there and it should be verified by the Reserve Bank of India, and all the credential needs to be vouched, and it should be a kind of a joint discussion where you cannot design, you cannot develop, you cannot create the value of your Bitcoin just by virtue of yours.
No, but I'll come back to that on just a bit. But Samyukt had a follow-up question. I'll take Samyukt and then final word before we wind up. G.
Thank you, sir. So most cryptocurrencies, with the exception of very few, maintain a public record of the transactions, which is what the blockchain is. And Bitcoin, as we've been mentioning over and over again, is one of the main, considering it was the oldest and the first to introduce blockchain technology, it maintains a public ledger of all the transactions. And regarding the example you made a while back that, say, a youngster hacks someone's account and then they say that you have to transfer 5 Bitcoins to me. But I think that is not, and that is actually more dangerous than a cash transfer or sending in Amazon coupons, because when you will have to buy the Bitcoin tokens, and when you do buy the Bitcoins, when you have to buy the Bitcoins, you will have a tag, right? So that will, and then that tag is written into the blockchain when you buy the Bitcoins. And when you transfer the Bitcoins to whoever it is being transferred to the hacker, their tag is stored as well. And in that way, it is actually easier for the government to actually find who is behind these. And that is one thing I find which a lot of people have a conception about. I will skip directly to the end of my...
No, but here is the concern. When you are tagged, but do I know who this person is? I know them only by that account number. I don't know who that tag belongs to. That tag could be anybody. See, I may buy the Bitcoin, so you may have a trail in India that I have bought this Bitcoin because I bought it from my bank account and my KYC is done on the app or the platform which I'm using to trade in Bitcoin. But when I transfer it to a particular ticket number, I don't know the name of the hacker. I don't know the identity of that ticket number or the verification of that ticket number. So even though the transaction is tagged, the identity of the person on the other side is not tagged. That's where the concern is. And Bitcoin will not allow you to get that identity. There may be certain other cryptocurrencies or digital currencies which may allow you that, but the larger ones do not, because principle of Bitcoin is that it's got to be free. Principle of Bitcoin is that it should not be regulated. The principle behind Bitcoin is that it will self-regulate and it will equate. The good will eventually trump the bad. But Dr. Oja, then this is like a virtual stock market. So then we should not have stock market also. एक शेयर जो मैंने 10 साल पहले खरीदा 10 रुपए का था, आज 100 रुपए का है. अब वही बिटकॉइन जो पहले $2 का था, आज 20 लाख रुपए का है.
But yeah, but the thing is that आनंद की stocks change, shares, यहाँ पर हमें कुछ तो पता है. यहाँ तो सब कुछ हमें अगर वर्चुअल कुछ भी करना है क्रिप्टो करेंसी, पहली चीज तो ये होती है कि we have to go to the dark net. You cannot go on the open surface and buy. See, try, you'll never get. You have to go through the Tor, you have to mask your IP. Automatically the IPs are masked. So it's all game which has started with something else.
No, but Indian platforms like apps today on India, like WazirX, CoinDCX, so many others are there where you can trade on Bitcoin.
Masking is always there. Masking of the IP.
They ask you to do your KYC. In fact, these people have voluntarily said that you have to do your KYC before you can transact. You have to give your Aadhaar and you've got to get your KYC done. You have to link your bank account.
Anand, they are trying to legitimize this exercise. They are trying to legitimize कि नहीं cryptocurrency को किस तरह से हम legal कर दें. But it's again the I told you ना कि if all the things which we have seen as of now in 10 years, 90%, 80% cryptocurrencies are being used for the illegal trades. किसी ने मुझे नहीं देखा कि किसी ने अपनी सही चीज के लिए use किया हो.
It's much like this the popular Netflix show Squid Game, where about 456 players all enter that they enter in order to get rid of their financial debt, and somebody created a coin called Squid Coin. So you are entering a place where you have no clue as to what's happening. Suddenly $2,800 net worth has become 0 rupees, and Squid Coin, which has no relation to the game Squid Game, is led a lot of people to lose a lot of money. So Anand, to answer your question, as an asset class also, the only problem that is there, which when I studied a little bit of it, that I gathered is that there is no end person that you can hold accountable. If the end person who is going to be there is accountable and there is a regulation in place, then probably cryptocurrency as an asset class can be something that can be done. So
right. No, I understand, but I'm looking at it from a very layman's perspective. It's the same with stock market. Stock market में किसी ने आज भाव बढ़ा दिया, मैंने 100 रुपए में शेयर खरीदा, ये सोच के कल 150 रुपए होगा, वो गिर के 10 रुपए हो गया, मैं तो घुस गया. So मैं किसको how can I hold that? Who can I hold? No, who can I hold? Can I? But a company का stock है, but who can I hold responsible or accountable? Can I go to anybody and say मेरे 90 रुपए डूब गए, मेरे पैसे वापस दो? You can't, right? It's the same philosophy if you're looking at it as a virtual trading market. But when you're saying that it becomes transactional, you can start buying, purchasing, selling things, and there is a value added, and then you bring in the security dynamics, then the gameplay is different. So that's what the argument.
But Anand, the problem is that कि अगर ये stock जो हम लोग इसको vacuum बनाते हैं ना, कि आज हमने कंपनी फॉर्म करी और उसका अगर मुझे शेयर एकदम एक्सपीड करना है, तो we create certain kind of a mechanism कि शेयर अपने आप बढ़ के चला जाता है और उसी हिसाब से drastically गिरता है. That was the case of Harshad Mehta and everything.
Correct.
But he is watching that कि रातों रात आपके पास 10 रुपए था और आज इस कंपनी का शेयर बढ़ के 1000 हो गया. What reason?
Correct.
Justifies.
Correct.
Check and balance should be.
So that's what they're saying, that end to end, the receiver, the sender, and the receiver on both ends, as long as you can verify both and there is an identity fixed, physical identity fixed, then it is possible to regulate. But if you don't know the physical identity, how do you regulate? We'll take this discussion forward. We've got to wind up. I thank you all. Very engaging session. Dr. Oja, always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks, brother. Thank you. Thanks all.